Recent reports and online discussions surrounding the alleged murder involving filmmaker Rob Reiner and his wife have sent ripples through culture and politics. Because this remains an active, developing case, much of what the public is reacting to exists in a space shaped by early reporting, speculation, and emotionally charged interpretation. What elevated the situation beyond a tragic headline was not only the gravity of the allegations themselves, but the tone and timing of political commentary that followed, particularly remarks attributed to Donald Trump that many viewed as dismissive or disparaging in the immediate wake of the news. For critics, the issue was less about partisan disagreement and more about decorum. Moments involving death and grieving families have historically carried an expectation of restraint, or, at minimum, a pause. Trump's comments, framed through his long-standing political conflict with Reiner, were interpreted by many as violating that expectation. The reaction was swift, and it triggered broader conversations about empathy, leadership, and what standards still exist, if any, when tragedy intersects with politics. Aries Spears' response was the most direct and confrontational. Rather than limiting his criticism to Trump himself, Spears focused squarely on Trump's supporters. His central question was moral rather than political. At what point does basic human decency override loyalty? Spears argued that continuing to stand behind a figure whose behavior he described as vile, offensive, narcissistic, racist, sexist, and disgusting, especially in the context of alleged violence and loss, reveals something about the supporters themselves. In his framing, the relationship is reciprocal. The leader reflects the people who support him, and they reflect him in return.
Yo, what's good? Yo, I want to ask Trump supporters something. Where's the line? At what point do you guys allow morality and human decency to kick in? Where's the line? You guys support this dude no matter how vile, how disgusting, how offensive, how narcissistic, racist, sexist, and disgusting this man is. Y'all stand behind him. Now this is really starting to say who y'all are as a people. He's a reflection of y'all, and y'all are a reflection of him. Y'all have no shame. If you're a Trump supporter and you follow me, unfollow me. You're disgusting.
D.L. Hugley approached the situation through the lens of leadership norms and public responsibility. His critique centered not on ideology, but on empathy, or the absence of it. Hugley argued that Trump consistently fails to meet even the lowest bar of human response when circumstances demand sympathy. According to Hugley, there was once an understood expectation that leaders would at least perform concern in moments of loss, even if they felt none privately.
I'm sure by now many of you have heard about the death of Rob Reiner and his wife. What I find interesting is that even before we knew the circumstances, Trump, of course, on his Truth Social, I don't care what the occasion is. If it calls for empathy, if it calls for sympathy, if it calls for condolences, if it calls for a warm word, he is always low, always low, always. And the fact that his followers continue to justify it and excuse it, it all started with McCain and how he just couldn't go to the funeral, just couldn't say anything decent about him. There's certain things that you are supposed to be able to do if you are the leader of a nation. And one of them is to pretend, at least try to pretend, like you care about things that happen to people. Like you can sympathize or empathize. There's a school of thought that empathy is weakness, and he epitomizes that because I have never seen a modicum of empathy or sympathy. At every turn, at any chance he gets, almost every time, he never misses a chance to be petty. Donald Trump is the most vile leader that ever has led this nation. This is not about political ideology. This is just your ability to muster up the barest modicum of humanity. Humanity. There used to be norms. There used to be things that a president had to do. And one of them was to pretend to give a goddamn about things that happen to people. And time again, he comes up. He never, ever, ever misses an opportunity to be vile. He never misses an opportunity to go low.
Shannon Sharpe widened the frame further, treating the controversy as a symptom of a deeper cultural shift. Sharpe spoke about the disappearance of shared social rules, particularly the unwritten rule that death creates a temporary ceasefire. He reflected on a time when grief demanded silence, or at least respect, regardless of how controversial or imperfect the deceased may have been. In the current environment, Sharpe observed, that restraint is gone. Instead, death often triggers immediate judgment, retroactive moral audits, and public declarations about what someone deserved.
Somehow, somewhere along the line, Ocho, we've lost our moral conscience. We've lost it because we'll say anything. It used to be if somebody was, if there was a death, we gave that person great it was like, you know what, that family's grieving. Somebody loves this family. They're grieving. This is not the time. Whatever differences we may or may not have, this is not the time for that. That's out the window now.
Oh yeah. Oh, during this era,
civility. I don't know when civility went away.
Yeah.
But chat, y'all know civility is gone now.
Well, hold on. This is the thing. It might have always been there. The problem is there was no social media for people to be able to let you know how they really feel.
Yeah.
Now, when something happens to somebody, if they haven't been a perfect angel all their life, they justify that person dying or passing away based on what they did in the past.
Correct. Oh, it's
everything.
karma.
They jump on you about everything you did in the past.
Well, I guess what? So when you die, it's karma.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But everybody's not going to die the same way. Some people going to die in their sleep. Some people it's going to be tragic.
Right.
Like the passing of Rob Reiner.
Oh yeah, rest in peace to Rob, man.
Yeah.
Rob was awesome, boy.
But I don't know where civility went.
Hey, social.
I don't know, Ocho.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's okay. It's you know what? It's okay. We can disagree. You like this, I like that.
Right.
But I don't know now, Ocho. It used to be. I remember when school shootings started, and then school used to be safe, and then guess what used to be safe? Churches, synagogues, mosques.
Yes.
Nobody would never run up in there. Now I just don't know where we going.
Across all three reactions, a common thread emerges despite their different tones. Each is responding to what they see as the collapse of a moral boundary, the idea that there are moments when humanity should supersede allegiance. Spears frames this as a moral failure among supporters. Hugley frames it as a failure of leadership and a rejection of empathy as a civic duty. Sharpe frames it as a societal breakdown where civility has been replaced by constant conflict and public performance. What gives this moment weight is not only the alleged crime or the political remarks that followed, but the reaction to those reactions. The controversy highlights how difficult it has become to publicly acknowledge wrongdoing without abandoning loyalty altogether. Where it was once possible to say, "This is wrong," without renouncing affiliation, the current climate often demands total defense or total rejection. Silence becomes complicity, and criticism becomes betrayal.